What's up, Taiwan? I'm Erika Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan announced on Thursday that it's planning to lift all quarantine rules for international arrivals in mid-October. That includes the country's ban on inbound tour groups. The announcement has set off a surge in interest among locals in traveling overseas. Erika takes a look.
After being cooped up for more than 2 years, people in Taiwan are ready to get away. The government announced that it plans to end mandatory COVID-19 quarantine for international arrivals in mid-October. Without having to spend days in isolation after a trip, people are now inundating travel agencies with calls.
今天观察一下我们的一个机票的一个搜寻量来看，那已经比昨天大概有成长1倍以上了。
Some airlines are offering huge discounts to attract passengers, with one selling one-way tickets to popular destinations like Japan and South Korea for less than $3. But those aren't the only spots on travelers' radar.
日本的一个自由行跟团体，其实我们都有做包机的准备，包含韩国。那再来就是最近比较夯的米兰跟慕尼黑。其实今天公告我们的电话，光我们公司的话就已经成长快15%左右。
But ending quarantine rules in Taiwan doesn't mean the pandemic is over. Some 20 companies are planning to roll out specialized travel insurance packages before the end of the year. A reminder that while people enjoy their holidays abroad, they still need to be careful of their health. Patrick Chen and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's COVID mask mandate will stay in force until at least the end of the year. That's according to the country's Epidemic Response Task Force. The restrictions will stay despite Taiwan lifting quarantine requirements from mid-October. The task force said that maintaining the mask mandate would be safer as the winter season approaches. Taiwan will also hold nationwide local elections in late November. Tens of thousands of new COVID cases have been reported every day so far this week. The decision means people in Taiwan will be expected to continue wearing a mask in most public places.
这波疫情之后，我们可能会进入一个社区低度流行的一个状态。那社区低度流行的状态可能会持续到年底。那每一天能够会确诊的数量，我们现在没有办法估计。但是我们不希望说，因为这个口罩的这个解除，那又让这个疫情再起来。
Sunday's 6.8 earthquake in eastern Taiwan has dealt a blow to the scenic region's tourism industry. As Jean Van Trieste reports, damaged transport links and worries about aftershocks have sent travelers changing plans and flocking to a different part of Taiwan instead.
From across Taiwan, tourists are pouring into the tropical resorts of the far south. For many, the decision to come was a last-minute one. Many originally planned to visit the dramatic East Coast, where autumn is now getting underway. But Sunday's earthquake toppled bridges and cut rail links in the region.
原本是明天到台东，然后后天到花莲，对，后来就是只能绕回来这样。
因为地震的关系。
对，就火车没有开啊。
Boats headed to Xiaoliuqiu Island, a snorkeling and diving hotspot on Taiwan's southern coast, are packed.
就怕很多余震啊，就来到小琉球参加，过来玩一下，改一下行程一下。之后我们还会往花莲的地区去玩啊。
Here, the surge in visitors has been especially noticeable. It's a windfall for the island's tourism sector.
其实蛮多那种散客啊、临时的团，因为地震的关系，所以他们都改来小琉球玩。
But even in other parts of the south, where hotels were already nearly booked, busloads of tourists diverted by the earthquake are pouring in. The East Coast severed rail line could take months to repair, and some road links will also need rebuilding, meaning that the shift in tourism to the south could be a lasting one. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
18-year-old Tuan Tuan, one of only 4 pandas in Taiwan, is recovering at Taipei Zoo after lesions were found on the bear's brain. Tuan Tuan, who arrived in Taiwan from China in 2008, suffered several bouts of epilepsy in late August. He was sent to the National Taiwan University Animal Hospital in late September, where an MRI scan revealed the lesions. Vets say they are still waiting for the results before they can determine what might have caused the damage. Tuan Tuan is now on the mend after being treated with epilepsy medicine, and his appetite has returned. Taiwan is home to its own sign language, a blend of the sign languages used in Japan and China with some local innovations found nowhere else in the world. September 23rd is International Day of Sign Languages. So let's meet some of the people bringing this language to the fore. John Van Trieste reports.
Chen Yuyi's classroom is completely silent, and that's with good reason. Chen is giving a lesson in Taiwan Sign Language, which is like no other language in the world. As of September, both deaf and hearing students can now choose it as a second language, and Chen is one of nearly 70 deaf teachers ready to teach them. Some of her fellow deaf teachers had a few last-minute nerves as the school year got underway.
I need to teach first, second, and third grade. I feel a bit awkward because I'm deaf and don't know phonetic symbols. What am I supposed to do? I'll just have to collect some picture cards and give them to the students to look at. Some things will take longer to explain.
But another deaf primary school teacher, Chen Zhirong, says being deaf is an advantage.
Being deaf is an advantage for the deaf teachers. Natural sign language is our mother language. Deaf teachers have better sign language skills than hearing teachers. They have to observe how other teachers hold their classes and make students interested in sign language.
It isn't just deaf teachers who are bringing Taiwan Sign Language to a broader audience. At public television service, a group of dedicated presenters has been signing the news for 20 years. One of the anchors is Mike Nyo.
Our program is completely designed for a deaf audience, and we use sign language. Many people tell me that there's little news related to the deaf community in most TV news. But sign language news broadcasts a lot of news involving deaf people, so they can understand what is happening and how it impacts their rights.
For Mike, the toughest part of the job is translating written Chinese into Taiwan Sign Language. He says the two languages can be very different.
Sometimes the Chinese can be vague. We have to look into what it really means and use sign language to convey that meaning. Also, for example, politicians often use very vague language or political speak. I have to think of how to convey the meaning in a neutral way using sign language.
But he says the rewards are great. He remembers a time when deaf people were often excluded from public life, particularly during elections.
When candidates gave speeches, there were no sign language interpreters next to them. Deaf people weren't able to understand what the candidate was saying. But we need to know, so we brought this up. And the Central Election Commission agreed to have interpreters' frames take up 1/3 of the TV screen.
And while there have been bumps along the way, Mike says the government is learning, and it's serious about giving deaf people equal access to information.
In the past, deaf people would complain that when there was a sign language interpreter, there would constantly be people passing inside the interpreter's frame on the TV screen, or it would be blocked by the news ticker. Seeing that the ticker blocked the interpreter, the government moved them higher on the screen, so the captions and ticker wouldn't block them.
Mike says that offering sign language in all of Taiwan schools will help the language bridge the divide between deaf and hearing people, and that in turn will lead to greater understanding.
今天我想要荡秋千，还有时间。
觉得透过这堂课，我可以更加了解到那些需要使用手语才能沟通的人的感觉是什么样子。
Once a language only used by the deaf community, Taiwan Sign Language is growing in visibility on television, at press conferences, and now in the classroom, putting it on par with all of the many spoken languages of Taiwan. Damon Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of murals by a sculptor in Mosul. The works recreate historical images that were destroyed by the Islamic State. I'm Erika Liu. Take care and see you next time.